Today, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Justice has unsealed federal charges against another Tesla attacker. Let this be a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide. Justice is coming.
New video obtained from defense attorney Murat Erkan showing the aftermath of his client Wilson Martel LeBron after ICE agents took him away last Thursday.
Today, I'm proud to announce that we've taken decisive action against the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most notoriously violent criminal and drug trafficking organizations in the world.
In fact, I believe someone is going to be arrested tomorrow. This is someone who actually stole 400,000 social security numbers and personal information from the social security database, and was selling social security numbers and all the identification information in order for people to basically steal money from Social Security.
Executive order that Trump signed last week it's brilliant, and it almost covers everything USA wanted done. And so we're thrilled with that executive order. But people have to remember, an executive order only lasts as long as the executive. And the other thing is, in the executive order, he orders the Attorney General to start working with chief election officials in the states to prosecute election crimes that the chief election officials have identified. I want to say one of the most common crimes prosecuted and upheld multiple times by the United States Supreme Court is certification of a false tally.
Right.
That's when an election official commits fraud.
More executive orders, ICE arrests in court. Judges continue to go rogue against President Trump. The election for Wisconsin updates. Businesses moving to the USA. So many folks are getting caught, like you saw in the intro, and going down. So much to get into, including the election information. The exposure of just how entrenched our enemy is in this nation is just startling. I tell you what, there's so much work to do. Thank our Heavenly Father for allowing this exposure to occur and get us back on track. Here we go. I want to remind everyone that our tickets for At Sea with LT, the cruise, July 13th through 20th, 2025, they'll be ending, and you'll want to get on board as soon as possible. Remember, every ship only has so many that they can hold, and so we're going to have a blast all together like you're seeing on your screen. Imagine joining other fans of And We Know, talking about the time that they woke up to the truth and realizing there's folks all over this nation, all over this earth, actually, that will be a part of this. We had folks from Australia, Belgium, and the UK last year. We hope to see you there. Laura Logan is going to be there, Tim Lovelace. And we're going to have amazing preaching also from Pastor Nathan Rutledge. Todd Tillman's going to be singing for us, the winner of the 2020 The Voice. So you're going to meet my family. We're going to spend time together. It's going to be awesome. And so we wanted to get that out and make sure you guys know.
Well, President Trump doesn't want American industries to survive. He wants them to thrive. And that's exactly what his tariff and trade policy is going to do. Wednesday will be Liberation Day in America, as President Trump has so proudly called it, because he is going to end the decades of unfair trade practices that have been ripping off American workers. It has hollowed out our middle class. It has turned the American heartland into an American wasteland where jobs have gone overseas. Products are made with foreign hands instead of American hands. That is going to end on Wednesday. And the rest of the world is going to feel what the American public have felt for decades. And President Trump is going to ensure reciprocity, that we are being treated, or other countries are being treated the way we have been treated. We're going to make America wealthy again with massive revenue. This will implement trillions and trillions of dollars back to the United States of America. And we've already seen these investments investments pouring in. In just 2 months, President Trump has secured more private investment than the Biden administration did in 4 years. That doesn't happen by luck or chance. That happens because we have a president who understands business and wants to put the American people's interests first, wants to stand up for the American worker. More investments means more jobs and more prosperity for hardworking American families across our country.
Amazing. Don't forget, we've got our Liberation Day special coming up tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be live doing Q&A with all the listeners, celebrating and going through all the information that flies off the shelves all day long, April 2nd. It's going to be a blast, just communicating, hanging out with you guys. We're going to have a guest, Lance with Ascent Nutrition, hanging out too. He loves the Q board and loves what's going on in the truther community. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Here's somebody else making waves, Kid Rock.
Bob, you want to say something?
Yeah, anybody it doesn't matter your politics. First off, thank you, Mr. President, because this has happened at lightning speed. I know you I want to make sure Alina Habba gets her credit too, because I know she worked very hard on this, but thank you for making this happen so quick. Anyone who's bought a concert ticket in the last decade, maybe 20 years, no matter what your politics are, knows that it's a conundrum. You buy a ticket for $100, by the time you check out, it's $170. You don't know what you can charge for it, but more importantly, these bots, they come in to get all the good tickets to your favorite shows you want to go to, and then they're relisted immediately for sometimes a 400% or 500% markup. And the artists don't see any of that money. And, ultimately, I think this is a great first step. I would love down the road if there would be some legislation that we could actually put a cap on the resale of tickets. And I'm a capitalist and a deregulation guy, but they've tried this in some places in Europe, and it seems to be the only thing that's us as artists be able to get the tickets into the hands of the fans at the prices we set. I'll be the first one to say, and I know the president doesn't like when I say this, but I'm a little overpaid right now. It's kind of ridiculous. I would rather be, a hero to the working class people and have them be able to come attend my shows and give them a fair ticket price. I can't control that right now. So hopefully this is a step to really be able to make that happen.
That executive order to stop the scalping. All these big folks going in, they're spending tons of money buying all the tickets and then repurposing, putting them out there for 500% profit on top of the normal ticket price. Tell you what, that executive order is going to make a big deal, and it's going to allow folks to enjoy those concerts, people that they love, and more. And so I thought this was pretty funny leading into this.
Yeah. Did Biden do news conferences like this, Peter? I don't think
No.
so.
He was never standing next to somebody who looked like they were about to be shot out of a cannon.
Wouldn't have worked out.
Funny, because he's wearing a funny outfit for those listening in. It's red with the giant white stars. It looks like it's got some feathers on it. And it's just very loud, and he looks like he's going to be shot out of a cannon, and that was pretty cool from my Duce belief. The Iran-backed Houthi terrorists have been decimated by the relentless strikes over the past 2 weeks, says President Trump. Many of their fighters and leaders are no longer with us. We hit them every day and night, harder and harder. Their capabilities that threaten shipping and the region are rapidly being destroyed. Our attacks will continue until they are no longer a threat to freedom of navigation. The choice for the Houthis is clear. Stop shooting at the United States ships, and we will stop shooting at you. Otherwise, we have only just begun, and the real pain is yet to come for both the Houthis and their sponsors, all the way from Iran. Oh boy, the war drums are sounding. A lot of folks talking about Iran and how that's playing out. But in the meantime, in our country, we have amazing return to normal streets there in D.C. The Black Lives Matter Plaza in front of the White House is officially gone. The text has been removed. And America is finally healing. Absolutely amazing. We're healing inside and out, and we're watching the enemy of the people continue to get shut down as they try to play gotcha with Caroline Levitt.
You can get classified by simply having certain symbols in your tattoos and wearing certain streetwear brands. That alone is enough to get someone classified as TDA and sent to El Salvador.
That's not true, actually, Andrew.
According to this document, it is.
No, according to the Department of Homeland Security and the agents, have you talked to the agents who have been putting their lives on the line to detain these foreign terrorists who have been terrorizing our communities? TDA is a vicious gang that has taken the lives of American women. And our agents on the front lines take deporting these people with the utmost seriousness, and there is a litany of criteria that they use to ensure that these individuals qualify as foreign terrorists and to ensure that they qualify for deportation. And the president made it incredibly clear to the American public that there would be a mass deportation campaign of not just foreign terrorists, but also illegal criminal aliens who have been wreaking havoc on American communities. And shame on you and shame on the mainstream media for trying to cover for these individuals who have. This is a vicious gang, Andrew. This is a vicious gang that has taken the lives of American women.
The government filed in court, which says all.
And you said yourself there are 8 criteria on that document.
They need 8 points.
And you are questioning the credibility of these agents who are putting their life on the line to protect your life and the life of everybody in this group and everybody across the country. And their credibility should be questioned. They finally have a president who is allowing them to.
This guy needs to be taken down, away from the press corps. Why they even let somebody like this continue to speak over Caroline while she's providing an answer is sickening. And again, I'll remind you, many of these so-called journalists have been part of a CIA training regimen, and they teach them how to cut off Caroline Leavitt when she makes sense. Because the more they cut them off, the people forget about what she's talking about, and they pay attention to how the journalist is behaving, like an immature little brat. Why they let them continue to go out there and ask these questions, it's beyond me. And I'm looking forward to playing musical chairs and moving the folks in the front row from the press to the back row, and folks that actually care about this country asking normal questions, not playing gotcha, put in the back or taken away. Elon Musk crumbs dropped from Grasshopper. If the news is fake, imagine how bad history is. He posted that at 1:44 a.m. Well, folks, if you go to qagg.news, you can find up all the Q posts. Why would he post that at 1:44? Well, you go to the 144 drop on the Intel board, the Q board, wrapping around the media, telling them, we're going through you. We're going to reach the people directly through comms. And I believe 1/3 of our nation follows these comms. What does it say on 144? Remember, if the news is fake, imagine how bad history is. How does POTUS shift the narrative? CNN sale? How is information transmitted? Operation Mockingbird. Why was Operation Mockingbird repeated? Amazing. Why was Jason Bourne, CIA Dream, repeated? Amazing, right? The tying of CIA to Operation Mockingbird, just constantly putting out information, all the same across all spectrums, not just the United States of America, across the entire earth, folks. Been around the earth. I've been in different bases, military bases. I've been in government service in different parts of this world. And I'm telling you right now, I've dealt with this media because I was public affairs, and they've got an agenda, and they're there to ensure that whatever their boss tells them to write about, they make sure they get it somehow, some way. Even if they don't get the answers they want, they'll twist it and turn it to ensure it plays out the way that they can sell their magazines and papers and broadcast. Criminals. Speaking of criminals, look what's going to happen to folks that play around with these Teslas.
I've made it clear, if you take part in the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, we will find you, arrest you, and put you behind bars. Today, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Justice has unsealed federal charges against another Tesla attacker. We've charged Cooper Frederick in the firebombing of a Tesla dealership that occurred on March 7th in Loveland, Colorado. All of these cases are a serious threat to public safety. Therefore, there will be no negotiating. We are seeking 20 years in prison. The crime was committed in Colorado, and thanks to the great investigative work by the FBI, the defendant was arrested in Plano, Texas. Let this be a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide. Justice is coming.
Justice is coming. We should make a song about that. Justice is coming. Your time is up. Your time is up because justice is coming. Well, you know what? Also, Elon Musk happened to be on a podcast, or I think on X or somewhere, CB Doge or something. And he said someone is going to get arrested tomorrow, which would be today. And as of this recording, this recording could be released, and we already have the name of the person that's actually arrested. We'll see. But as of this recording, we don't know yet. Check it out.
I believe someone is going to be arrested tomorrow. This is someone who actually stole 400,000 social security numbers and personal information from the Social Security database, and was selling Social Security numbers and all the identification information in order for people to basically steal money from Social Security.
Stealing money from Social Security. Someone's going to be arrested. Justice is coming. Somebody needs to put a tune to that. All right. So with that justice, you see that 17 more extremely dangerous criminals linked to Tren de Aragua and MS-13 are off U.S. soil and officially landed in El Salvador. What a great way to start the week. Right, America? Especially with the number 17. We had a great interview here recently with LT Pet Club 247. I'm going to show you the intro to that.
And the vet goes, she's almost 15. You can go ahead and put her down. Huskies only usually live to about 12 years old. And we took her home, put her in hospice care, set up that appointment that we didn't want to set up. Today, have you ever looked at something called mush puppies? And I had a pantry full of remedies and different lotions and potions, and I made Zenta's food and everything, and I never have heard about mush puppies. And I'm like, yeah, we'll try it. We started giving her 2 to 3 mush puppies a day, and we noticed that Zenta was walking through the living room. And then Zenta on day number 4 jumps up on the couch next to me. And so I'm hollering into Gail. I'm saying, Gail, come on in. You got to see this. You got to see this. And Gail starts yelling at me going, what are you doing putting the dog on the couch? You know she can't get down. And I'm reaching over there to pet her, and I can pet her from her head all the way down to her. And she was just absolutely loving it.
It's pretty amazing that we have Zenta, the dog that he's talking about that was saved from so much despair. And LT Pet Club 247 was the solution, these mush puppies. You know, pretty interesting because Kurt and Gail, you're looking at them on your screen, Weeks. They shared their story on the video. It's in the description box below if you want to watch the entire thing. It's absolutely amazing. Zenta, their dog, was given no hope from their vet. They were advised it was time to put Zenta down. Shortly after, they were asked to consider mush puppies with immune-supporting Coriolis versicolor mushroom. They took the advice, and within a few short weeks, Zenta was back taking walks and jumping on the couch. Zenta ended up living 19 and a half years. It's amazing. You guys can go to ltpetclub247.com. It's in the description box below. You'll get this amazing product for your pets. You will not regret it. It'll be absolutely amazing. And again, please watch their interview. It is brilliant. So, you guys realize that Elon's been up to all types of good things for America. In some of his Doge government discoveries, he said they deleted a terabyte of financial data to cover their crimes, but they don't understand technology, so we recovered it. Is that right? That's right. They recovered this reminder, Q4845, nothing is ever truly deleted. And that was a reminder from the Clinton Foundation, plus Soros and the journalists, and Africa, Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, Uranium One. Remember that? The selling of that from the Clintons. Hussein, director of the Benghazi. You guys remember Benghazi? Remember that movie 13 Hours kind of exposed some of it? Controlled op movie, but we happen to have some inside information on that, knowing that they just weren't doing anything. It's just they gave it like 3 or 4 seconds showing you that they were begging for air support to bring in help in that area of Benghazi. And they showed for like 3 or 4 seconds, nobody was moving their aircraft at all. And that was it. They didn't talk about it, and they didn't share why in that movie. It just didn't happen. And then we've got the CIA assets, crimes against humanity. Nothing is ever truly deleted. Threats, blackmail, and bribes. These criminals are going to get caught. You know, Elon Musk also posted the Attorney General Pamela Bondi's message about justice is coming. And she said this video, she actually put it out in 55 seconds. Well, you go to Q55, it says exactly this: my fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. It's part of the storm. The storm could be the one that's hitting the deep state. Elon posted this at 2:24, probably on purpose so we can get the message. Who knows where the bodies are buried? The President of the United States. He knows who's guilty. He knows who's been stealing the elections. He knows how they bring the theft. And so it kind of reminds me of what's happening today in Wisconsin with this big election there. This was recorded yesterday as a reminder for those today of how important this is.
With 9 hours and 44 minutes now until polls open tomorrow morning here in Wisconsin, I think just for folks on the line, one more reminder, what's at stake?
I know this might sound like maybe I'm saying too much. Maybe it might sound like I'm exaggerating, but the feeling I get, and my feelings are often true, my gut feel here is that this could decide the future of America and Western civilization. Because I think tomorrow's election decides who has the majority in the House of Representatives federally. It also, very importantly, there's on the same day tomorrow, there's the decision to add voter ID to the Wisconsin Constitution. Also very important for ensuring election integrity. And in case people think this is like, why is that such a big deal? Well, in California and New York, they have banned ID for voting. You can't show ID even if you want to. Like, my mom lives in New York, and she tried to show ID and just said, you're not allowed to show ID. Well, they want the same thing for Wisconsin. They want the same thing for the whole country.
The whole country.
And then there's no democracy after that.
That's right. No democracy.
It's game over, man. So all we're trying to do is, ensure that the democratic process continues, and we make America great, but also, really greater in the future, that we reach new heights. That's the goal. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening in.
Truly amazing how we continue to go through these stressful type of moments, right? Like, well, the election's big. We got to get Trump in. When we get Trump in, okay, now we got to get him to the inauguration. Okay, we got the inauguration. Okay, good. I think we're good. We're clean now. We're going to have all the support we need. He signed executive orders, and then we're waiting for Congress to do stuff and start acting on all the junk that's been happening against President Trump and his administration, but it seems like they're not moving. Then we're told, hey, by the way, there's Wisconsin over here. Hand up. Don't forget about us. We've got this big election coming up, and it's going to decide the majority in the House. What happens if we lose the majority? Well, Jeffries is going to step in as the speaker. Can you imagine him sitting behind President Trump when he's given his State of the Union speech and ripping up another speech in front of everyone? And all the junk we'd have to go through in that? And then they want to add voter ID. So it makes you wonder, how is this election going to play out? Is it going to be legal or not? Well, President Trump signed an executive order to secure our elections. You guys remember that? Citizen proof for voting, funds tied to integrity compliance, paper ballots, Attorney General to track election fraud, cracks down on late ballots, axes the Biden's voter turnout executive order. All this playing out with the voting. And President Trump said there is a very important referendum, question 1, on the April 1st ballot to amend the state constitution to require voter ID. This and other election integrity issues. Measures, including banning drop boxes and same-day voting with paper ballots, can only happen if you get out and vote. For state Supreme Court, make sure to vote for America First patriot Brad Schimmel against Susan Crawford, a radical left liberal with a history of letting child molesters and rapists off easy. She will be one of the most liberal judges ever elected, which would be a disaster for Wisconsin and the United States of America. So important. Please get out and vote yes on question 1 and vote for Brad Schimmel to the Supreme Court tomorrow. That's today, April 1st. Elon Musk claims 2.1 million non-citizens received Social Security numbers in 2024. Remember that. We brought somebody on board today to help us understand more about what they're doing to help with this election fraud as it's playing out across our country. It's great to have Marley Hornick with us, CEO of United Sovereign Americans. We've had you on several times before with different folks giving us updates on all of this this fraud in elections and more. We just had a conversation before this recording of the amazing information that came out from Elon Musk and Doge working behind the scenes to reveal a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. And I'm sure you noticed that, Marley, and you wanted to update us on that and how it's making an impact for you guys going forward with this election debauchery, basically, is what I call it.
Yeah, it's crimes, actually. And thank goodness for President Trump saying, hey, let's prosecute election crimes again, because it was like for 5 years, that was a fiction. But yeah, what Doge is turning up is absolutely mind-blowing for most Americans who have never seen the work of United Sovereign Americans or New York Citizens Audit. But for us, it's confirmation of everything we've been reporting for 4 years now. For example, he's talking about people who are getting Social Security numbers and voting, but they're clearly there's going to be fraud in that system, because he's talking about millions of people getting added to Social Security in, basically an 18-month period, where before it was, a tenth of that. For example, our audit already of the California 2024 election shows a similar level of manipulation, let's say. Now, we can't say whether or not people who vote in elections are citizens, because we can't actually access citizenship data as external auditors. But what we discovered in California in 2024 is that 1 in every 3 voters who voted in that election, so 5.5 million voters who had their votes counted, they have what's called material errors and omissions with their record. It means that their registration record itself has an open legal question that has to be determined by a legal process. Like, no one can just look at it and figure out if it's legitimate. The voter has to be queried, officials have to come together and make sure they all have to sign off on this, because the data that's there in the official record is invalid. These are people who were registered to vote before they were born. They're registered to vote on January 1st, 1850. Their name is asterisk. Or in California, we actually have people who have no name at all and no address. It's just a voter ID and a vote history. So 5.5 million votes were actually counted in the 2024 election from these folks, or whatever they are. So, California seated 52 members of Congress using that data, which is absolutely shocking.
Can you explain again who you are? Just a quick update for those that might have missed your interviews in the past, and what you're involved in, and how you tackle all of these issues that you're pointing out.
Absolutely. Let's go back. So my name is Marley Hornick. I am the CEO of United Sovereign Americans and also the founder and executive director of New York Citizens Audit.
Right.
And at both of these organizations, what we do is we take credentialed, skilled, professional auditors, software developers, cyber intelligence and cybersecurity professionals, CPAs, law and legal experts, and we get publicly available data from the state officials who are the custodians of these official records of federal elections, and we audit them. And a lot of times when you hear about voter roll audits, you'll hear about registration list maintenance problems, which means the assumption is that when a voter was added to the database, at that time, the registration record was accurate and it was legally compliant and legally valid, right? It's a real voter who's been verified, who actually exists, qualified, and a U.S. citizen. What we look for are registration records that were invalid when they were entered in the first place. So it's not a matter of whether the voter moved. It's not a matter of whether the voter died. It's a matter of how in the heck did the control process, because you see, you can't just throw voters into a database used to administer federal elections and authorize people to sit in the United States House of Representatives or the United States Senate. It's a matter of national security. So you can't just throw people in there. They have to check out. They have to be a citizen. They have to be a real person, and they have to be qualified according to the laws of the state. So this is what we do at USA. This is what we did at New York Citizens Audit. We audit official records and we turn up what is called probable fraud. Everything that we do is, all the measurements that we take are defined by criminal election law, according to the United States Department of Justice. So we're the only organization that measures the problems with the elections according to the way the Department of Justice defines criminal fraud.
Yeah, I'm looking at your site now, uniteforfreedom.com, and folks, it's in the description box below. And you have this simple USA solution: force election officials to obey the law, secure the entire election system, and hold non-compliant officials personally responsible. Very, very interesting how you guys do this. And you're huge. It seems like you guys are growing quite a bit, but you need resources to help continue to move this forward, correct?
That's absolutely correct. What we did in 2024 with our audits was we filed 9 federal lawsuits. So in 9 states, we filed lawsuits asking the courts to order the states to follow the law. And these lawsuits, this was like, what do they call that? It was like it was like an ambush, right?
Right.
Like an ambush across 9 states, ordering and exposing the fact, like an elections doge, that the system was wildly out of compliance. Very humiliating, honestly, for those 9 states. And several of them started up massive PR campaigns to try to defray attention from the gigantic problems we exposed. Our audits in 2022, or of the 2022 election, showed 30 million registration records out of compliance, 10 million votes illegally counted from non-compliant registrations. Just massive, massive problems in the system. And, what it boils down to is that even though we couldn't get criminal investigations of this, like no one actually knows still who's doing this, but the election officials, according to settled law for 150 years, are responsible for preventing this from happening.
Got it.
So that's why, our lawsuits are ordered around compliance. And then if there's not compliance, they're ordered around accountability. And yeah, we absolutely need resources. This is an unprecedented kind of litigation strategy, very, very tactical, extraordinary law enforcement compliant data and evidence that's irrefutable. And we're getting ready for our next set of lawsuits now, and we definitely need help.
On this progress page, we wanted to point out, right, this pie chart here, the Art of the Steal 2022 election fraud report. Is that something that I look at a bunch of numbers, but maybe you can help us make sense of this.
Absolutely. So why do we call this outright election fraud? It's very simple. When an election official counts a ballot from someone whose identity they have not verified as a U.S. citizen and eligible to vote, the election official commits election fraud. Whether they're the person trying to get the ballot through the system or whether they're not preventing the ballot from getting through the system, they are accountable. So what United Sovereign Americans did and is continuing to do, we're continuing on this exact trajectory because this is very damning evidence, frankly, is we tried to identify the voters ourselves. We said, okay, there's all these invalid records in the system, but are they clerical errors? No one knows. So we said, let's see if we can find these people. So what we did, and again, this was because of the generosity of so many different American citizens who felt like this was a valid effort and it needed to be supported. We, through our attorneys, we hired private investigators. They use law enforcement commercial databases, and they look for the voters who voted in all of those states that you see: California, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Georgia, right? They looked for the voters in 3 different law enforcement like commercial databases that are used to find people precisely in time and space. And so you can see right there, California in the 2022 midterm, they counted 11.1 million votes. Nearly 1 million of those votes, 993,000, are from people who do not exist.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of folks are concerned about non-citizens voting. These are non-people. There's not even a body. These are completely synthetic identities. 1 million of them voted, and California counted those votes and certified that election. Again, 52 members of the United States House of Representatives and 2 senators.
Oh my goodness.
It's astonishing. So this is the kind of forensic work that we are doing because somebody has to get all the way to the bottom of this and make sure the system gets fixed. And at United Sovereign Americans, we are totally dedicated to seeing this process through and securing legitimate representative government, again, for the American people, regardless of your political, affiliation and your preferences and candidates and all of that. We just want the Constitution upheld.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting that you guys are doing all this work, and at the same time, you say you're doing this for Americans, and you're providing an opportunity for folks to come together this weekend, Friday through Sunday, April 4th through 6th in St. Louis, Missouri, for a spring 2025 national conference.
Yes, we want to make sure that everyone who wants to support United Sovereign Americans and volunteer with United Sovereign Americans really has the opportunity to look at these solutions, end to end. Because, for example, on February 25th of this year, we had teams in 14 states going to meet with their state legislators. We had people who have been training themselves through our process and working together in election validity and in process control, because elections are not, you can't just add voter ID, for example, to an election and just fingers crossed that the rest of the entire process is legit. You have to secure this. This is critical infrastructure. And so the entire system has to be inside of an iron dome. And right now there are so many gaps in the system that, we're going to get together and train everybody on how those gaps work. But back to February 25th, we had people all over the country meeting with their state legislators to say, here is a comprehensive solution to fix this. Let's start working on drafting legislation. Let's start working together, citizens and government, and make sure that the next time around, there's more and more people in these offices who directly answer to the American people, because, we all get it by now. It's like,
Right.
There obviously are people in those positions who answer to their own arrogance. They answer to their own opportunity. They answer to someone else's opportunity for all we know, but they're not answering to the people.
Yeah. It's amazing. On the website, you also have a volunteer button at uniteforfreedom.com. And I remember talking about this quite a bit before, where folks can actually get involved in community outreach, media outreach, legislative, fundraising, writing, accounting, marketing, social media, transportation. So there's different ways that folks can get involved in helping you. Not only that, they can donate, especially you guys are going to need resources, and you're going to need support from folks that are going to need, as they move forward with you, they can help financially. And so that's another area with all this fighting for our country and trying to get our elections fixed. We have you out there and your team working hard, and it's mostly, you have a life, you've got things that you do during the day, and you're doing this on a volunteer basis. And I remember talking about this before, the amount of time and hours that you're putting into this for your country and for fellow citizens is absolutely amazing. And we're hoping more and more folks would jump in there and get involved.
Absolutely. We need everybody, all hands on deck. And the executive order that Trump signed last week it's brilliant, and it almost covers everything USA wanted done. And so we're thrilled with that executive order. But people have to remember, an executive order only lasts as long as the executive. And the other thing is, in the executive order, he orders the Attorney General to start working with chief election officials in the states to prosecute election crimes that the chief election officials have identified. I want to say one of the most common crimes prosecuted and upheld multiple times by the United States Supreme Court is certification of a false tally.
Right.
That's when an election official commits fraud. It's not like they catch somebody double voting. It's like they sign off on an election where 1 out of 3 voters is not registered in a legally compliant fashion. This is mind-blowing fraud. This is a crime not only against the citizens of the state of California in that example, but it is a crime against the United States. They are outright defiant against the United States of America when they certify that election. And they have received comprehensive reporting about this from United Sovereign Americans. And of course, other organizations as well have been working in California for years. So it's not like they don't know. So what I want to say about that is, yes, absolutely. Hoo-yah, that President Trump signed that executive order. But people, we have a country to defend. And if the DOJ is not going to go after the election officials, we have to. That is the fastest way to get them back into compliance, is for everyone to point out, hey, you know what? They're the ones who are way out of compliance. They have to control their system. And if they refuse, they have to be removed, and their state has to lose apportionment. And that's not my idea. That's the second section of the 14th Amendment. It says when states refuse to administer basically lawful elections and enfranchise their citizens, states are sanctioned in apportionment.
Amazing how you guys continue to just work so hard behind the scenes to support us. And we're so grateful to you. uniteforfreedom.com. You guys reach out to Marley Hornick and her team and send out some support and love and prayers and more. They definitely are working so hard for us. And we want to thank you, Marley, for your efforts.
Sure, thank you. And yeah, we still have plenty of room this weekend. Actually, not plenty of room. We have a couple seats left. So if people really want to be there, I don't want to oversell, but we do have some seats left, and we would love to welcome some newcomers. We have other newcomers coming. You don't have to know already. You just have to be there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marley. We'll be continuing to keep updates here with you guys.
Great. Thank you so much, LT.
Amazing to continue to follow through and ensure that these things are playing out. They volunteer their time to ensure that we have a future for this nation, because we won't have a nation if the elections continue to be rigged the way they are. You know, kind of proof of the Social Security numbers that are being used, and of course they use them for elections too. Getting the Social Security numbers, these illegals were actually talking about it on this particular guy's podcast. I'm going to read this to you as he speaks. Here we go. Thank God they helped me get medical insurance, and most importantly, medical insurance. They have helped me to get my ID and helped me obtain asylum, work permit, and my Social Security card. Thank God I got my Social Security and my work permit, another guy said. And to get my Social Security and work permit, another guy says.
Do you have a worker's permit or Social Security number?
Oh, only when my wife, we applied for the work permit. But I only received the work permit while my wife received all of her papers. Her Social Security number, everything.
You get a Social Security number when you arrive to the border. They give you one.
No, after I apply for asylum.
You apply for DoorDash, you have the work permit and a Social Security number. How long do you have to wait until you get a job at one of these food delivery companies?
Around for the app is like 1 week.
Yes, I'm looking for the social.
So you're looking primarily to the Social Security number. And you haven't gotten it after over a year?
Yes, I got it, but I kept it inside the paperwork, and now I'm looking for it.
What was the process like to get that job? Did you have to apply, and how did it work?
I applied for my asylum and give me my working permit and my social. That's why I used the social to open my application.
Okay. All DoorDash needs is Social Security number and work permit?
Social Security number and ID.
And an ID?
And an ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have to interview with them or speak to anybody, or you just got a notification you can drive?
Yeah, it's a process online. You just fill the form.
Okay.
Yeah, after they open the account for you.
How quickly were you able to find that work?
When your papers arrive, one can register in the application. You have to put your Social Security and the work permit. Wow.
Did you get a Social Security number and a work permit?
I'm paying to get that.
Social Security number. Any papers that Uber requires?
No.
No. Here, I mean the people who already have the social, they create the account and rent it to us at a cost for us to be able to go out to work. So that wasn't much help either, because I had to pay for it, which is the rental of the bicycle plus the rental of the application, which are weekly costs. And so with one more, he had nothing left. And that's the Nate Friedman show. I saw that in the bottom left corner of that as it was playing out. So let's get into these crazy judge rulings, shall we? Federal judge blocks the Trump administration from firing any CIA or Office of the Director of National Intelligence employees who worked on DEI. That's number one. Number two, Judge Edward Chen in California just blocked the Trump administration from canceling legal status for 350,000 Venezuelans, saying the decision appeared rooted in, quote, racial discrimination by Trump and Noam. Chen was appointed by none other than Barack Hussein Obama. Another one, lawfare. An Obama-appointed judge has blocked Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's mandate. This would be Judge Boasberg. Remember him? He ordered Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to eliminate the mandate requiring all military personnel to be capable of engaging in combat operations. The judge determined that this requirement unfairly discriminates against soldiers based on their physical size and fitness. Discrimination against those who cannot fit in their uniform properly. They're now dictating to the military how they conduct business. Can you imagine what it would be like to hit the battlefield where more than half of the people can barely run half a mile with their gear to fight the enemy? Can you imagine what that would be like, folks? These guys think that they can run our military now. Sickening. The United States Institute of Peace accountant paid $2.2 million, deleted 1 terabyte of accounting data. The U.S. Institute of Peace shelled out that money to its outside accountant who promptly tried to erase it. Walked through the door. Fortunately, the data was recovered. That's what we talked about earlier, but now we know it's from United States Institute of Peace. They've had enough. The exposure continues. Folks are going down.
As President Trump and I have stressed many times before, economic security is national security. One of the most important roles we play at Treasury is safeguarding American interests against foreign adversaries. Today, I'm proud to announce that we've taken decisive action against the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most notoriously violent criminal and drug trafficking organizations in the world. Our administration is committed to cutting off their funding and neutralizing the threat through all available tools. We leveled sanctions against 6 individuals and 7 entities involved in a money laundering operation, cutting off financing for these evil people. Today, the Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network also issued an alert to help financial institutions detect and deter bulk cash smuggling by transnational criminal organizations in Mexico. The Sinaloa cartel has invaded our southern border. They have tortured and murdered countless of our citizens, dedicated law enforcement agents like Kiki Camarena, and veterans like Nicholas Quetz, who was only 31 years old when he was ruthlessly taken from us. And the group is responsible for a significant amount of the fentanyl and illicit drugs brought into the United States. Drugs that continue to kill innocent Americans and destroy families every single day. Today's action builds on the great and coordinated work across the Trump administration, from the White House to DHS to the DOJ. We have a steady drumbeat of regulatory and sanctions actions, as well as national security actions, sending a clear message that American strength is back.
Amen. Amen. You know, President Trump said in 2 months there has been more private investment spoken for and or committed to than in 4 years of the sleepy Joe Biden administration, a fact that the fake news hates talking about. So we've got fact check team giving us some good info.
Based on your research, it sounds like President Trump's tariffs are one of the factors here.
Yeah, Dee Dee, they definitely play a part. A new survey from a Japan-based news agency polled executives at 144 major Japanese corporations, and around 30% said they were expanding their operations in the U.S., and another 20% said they were exploring options for expansion.
So President Trump's 25% tariffs on imported cars and car parts, that is expected to start next week. So tell us about the changes that we're actually already seeing with regards to foreign automakers making ahead of this.
Yeah, so according to a list released by the White House, which they got from reporting by Reuters, Honda will be producing its new Civic Hybrid in Indiana instead of Mexico. Also, Hyundai Motor and Stellantis have announced their plans to set up shop here too.
Oh, yeah. Big things moving all across the spectrum for us. Treasury Department laid off large numbers of employees, 25% tariffs on all car imports and more. This was put out for all of us to hear on how this means so much good for us, for we, the people. Dr. Kirk Elliott kept us on that update. If you guys missed this interview we did on Sunday, it is absolutely brilliant. He continues to bring so much good information for all of us. And I tell you, you don't want to miss these, especially if you want to stick to biblical precious metals in your life. And we know .com/gold. You can reach out, talk to Dr. Kirk Elliott yourself. He is absolutely amazing, and their team will help you out.
This is the great healing and rejuvenation of the American economy after half a century of rampant offshoring, outsourcing, and deindustrialization. Sean, there was once a time in which Motor City in Michigan, Detroit automakers powered the entire globe. There was once a time when you could drive through Pennsylvania and all you would see were humming steel mills, humming coal plants, manufacturing facilities, again, that were supplying the entire world, supplying Americans and all of planet Earth. Ohio was again a bedrock of American industry in manufacturing. Foreign countries like China, Canada, Mexico, Cambodia, Vietnam, and the European Union took advantage of our country and our leaders, and they used both high tariffs, illegal subsidies, product dumping, currency manipulation, intellectual property theft, and other unfair trade practices and predatory trade practices to crush American industry. President Trump is resetting the entire global market by saying, number one, you can't steal our jobs. Number two, if you want to get preferential treatment, you have to put your factory inside the United States. Your auto plant, your manufacturing facility, your AI plant, your chip plant, whatever it is, you want to sell it to Americans on a preferential basis, then you have to make it here. And if you do, you'll get low taxes, low regulations, and cheap energy. But if you sell it to us from overseas, then yes, you will pay a tariff.
Oh, yes. The information continues to flow. Tariffs are going to do good for us, and we're hoping that everything will be turned around in the next several months for all of us. And it's sad because other nations are experiencing some serious problems, especially on the election side. Remember, the opposition banned dissent crushed to save democracy. Remember that Romania, the opposition leader was banned. Brazil, opposition leader banned. France, same thing. Ukraine, election suspended. Moldova, opposition party banned. Germany trying to ban AfD. USA tried to ban Trump. Poland planning the same. Italy's deputy prime minister banning Le Pen is a, quote, declaration of war from Brussels. Meanwhile, in the EU, people are jailed for thought crimes online. This isn't democracy, it's a purge. A French court, found Marine Le Pen guilty of embezzlement charges. The EU communists know they can't stop the populist uprising democratically, so they have weaponized the justice system across Europe to go after their political adversaries. She was leading the French, in the election polls there. And I think I had a clip for you. Oh, yeah, I do. Marine Le Pen, we're going to fight all legal means. All legal means will be analyzed and used. Châtel made a tribute to say that the court's decision set on the Constitutional Council's ruling. This is a bit of a problem for the rule of law, because lovers of the rule of law should know that the decisions of the council constitutional apply immediately to all jurisdictions, whether judicial or administrative. It's a narrow path we're sure to take. Of course, we're going to ask for a call to be made as soon as possible, because we have no control over that, of course. It's obvious that when your political adversary is your lifeline, it's a bit complicated. You're thinking, is he going to launch it? When will he launch it? Won't he launch it too late? Still, it's worth asking. There may also be a legislative route. This morning I heard from Eric Ciotti, who was as scandalized by this decision as we were, and who mentioned a potential legislative route that we will be analyzing very closely. Interesting, right? How all this is playing out. Remember, Putin he's called a dictator. Remember that? Meanwhile, in Europe, France is, they don't want. Their dictators are actually making the rules in France. Dictators are making the rules in Romania, in Germany, in Slovakia, assassination attempt against anti-war Prime Minister Robert Fico. Hungary, continued attacks against Orban and pressure to exclude Hungary from EU decisions. Estonia, 25% of Russians barred from voting in the elections. But meanwhile, Putin's the bad guy. Remember, we were told about this at the CPAC with J.D. Vance.
Germany's entire defense is subsidized by the American taxpayer. There are thousands upon thousands of American troops in Germany today. Do you think that the American taxpayer is going to stand for that if you get thrown in jail in Germany for posting a mean tweet? Of course they're not, right? So the point that I try to make to our European friends, and I think that there are friends, I believe that, I know President Trump does, is that friendship is based on shared values. You do not have shared values if you're jailing people for saying we should close down our border. You don't have shared values if you cancel elections because you don't like the result, and that happened in Romania. You do not have shared values if you're so afraid of your own people that you silence them and shut them up.
Also, other places, just in case you didn't know, the Irish Parliament is planning to block Conor McGregor from running in Ireland's upcoming presidential election due to his anti-immigration views. This is horrific. The Irish people can't stand for this. 134 members of the Oireachtas say they will not nominate McGregor for the presidency. They need a lot of prayer, a lot of help. I saw this from another leader, Giorgia Meloni out of Italy, talking about Islam and saying that Muslims and Western civilization are not compatible. I think there is a problem of compatibility between Islamic culture or certain interpretation of Islamic culture and the rights and values of our civilization. It is not lost on me that most of the Islamic culture centers in Italy are funded by Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a nation that applies Sharia law at home, and Sharia law, man, this is fast. Let me slow down. It's not lost on me that most of the Islamic cultural centers in Italy are funded by Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is a nation that applies Sharia law at home, and Sharia means stoning for adultery, death penalty for apostasy, death penalty for homosexuality. I think these questions need to be asked, which does not mean generalizing about Islam. It means posing the problem that there's an ongoing process of Islamization, Islamization of Europe that is far removed from the values of our civilization. Talking about elections and voting and all this stuff and the rights that these people throw at you. Don't forget, we started in talking about Wisconsin. I just wanted to remind you that this Wisconsin judge, Susan Crawford, supports sentencing a child molester to 4 years in prison only. Let's make sure that everybody knows.
First one, in 2020, you did sentence a child sex offender to 4 years in prison after prosecutors requested 10. Do you regret that sentence?
Yes, I don't regret that sentence.
These ads.
I don't regret that sentence. Vote for Brad Schimmel. So important today. A lot to remember, and a lot of stuff that's been thrown at us all across the board. And we have to remember that justice is coming. All you guys saw the intro. You sense that there's something going on. We've had enough, and it's probably not going as fast as most of us want. But you know what? I see many positive things playing out. We have to remember that. Day after day, they've only got so many hours in a day. They just stepped in, and imagine if you took over something this enormous in your department and you had to clean it all up, and this mess has been there for decades. Don't forget, we were told, POTUS, who knows where the bodies are buried? Exactly this. My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. God bless.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you once again for continuing to remind us that you're in control. Your word shows us that nothing escapes you. You know all, you see all, you you see nations, and you appoint leaders and remove leaders, and all of this is done through perfection from heaven above. We have been decimated for decades. We've been taken advantage of since you blessed our nation. The enemy came in and stole our blessings and pushed them around this earth to places that did not see it coming, didn't realize it was being done by the enemy, and it was used to hurt so many across this earth. Thank you for the reminder that your love for us is unconditional. Thank you that you have sent your Son to die on the cross for us, who suffered and died and is alive and well now. And we can look to him and realize, once again, your grace and mercy on our lives. We don't deserve it. We certainly need your protection at this time. We need your guidance in the words that we say with our neighbors, our friends and family, and more. Oh, how we need you, especially day after day, sometimes impatient for how this all plays out. We're truly grateful just to be breathing with the freedom that we have in our United States of America today. And we certainly hope and pray that this would spread around the entire earth and you would receive the praise, honor, and glory that you deserve. We ask all this in your Son's name, Yeshua. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for your support, your prayers, for supporting those that are that come alongside of us, our partners. It's truly a blessing to watch them just receive their blessings also because of you. Absolutely amazing folks that you are. We're truly blessed by you. In the name of Christ, I definitely thank you. Also, just a reminder that our cruise is going to be closing, and we'd like to see as many of you get on board as possible. For now, this is LT saying Semper Fi with them we know, signing out.
Today, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Justice has unsealed federal charges against another Tesla attacker. Let this be a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide. Justice is coming.
New video obtained from defense attorney Murat Erkan showing the aftermath of his client Wilson Martel LeBron after ICE agents took him away last Thursday.
Today, I'm proud to announce that we've taken decisive action against the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most notoriously violent criminal and drug trafficking organizations in the world.
In fact, I believe someone is going to be arrested tomorrow. This is someone who actually stole 400,000 social security numbers and personal information from the Social Security database, and was selling social security numbers and all the identification information in order for people to basically steal money from Social Security.
Executive order that Trump signed last week it's brilliant, and it almost covers everything USA wanted done. And so we're thrilled with that executive order. But people have to remember, an executive order only lasts as long as the executive. And the other thing is, in the executive order, he encourages, actually he doesn't encourage, he orders the Attorney General to start working with chief election officials in the states to prosecute election crimes that the chief election officials have identified. I want to say one of the most common crimes prosecuted and upheld multiple times by the United States Supreme Court is certification of a false tally.
Right.
That's when an election official commits fraud.